Welcome to the Collector Cave, and today we have a review of Mezco Toys 1/12 Collective, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark Temple Edition. And this is an exclusive to Mezco, although I have seen it on BBTS, Big Bad Toy Store. But this is one I've been waiting for quite a long time. It was kind of delayed in shipping, I think, because of weather. Up where I'm at, there's been a lot of snow in the area in the States, so it came about 4 days late. But regardless, man, this is super awesome that Mezco got the Indiana Jones license. We know they've licensed two figures, this Indy and then Tote from the Nazi guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And hopefully they do more. I don't know at this point. We'll see. As a kid growing up in the 80s, Star Wars was my thing, and I would have loved to have Indiana Jones figures. But they never made them. Kenner never made them. And I know Hasbro did a few years ago. I didn't get them because I kind of stopped collecting Hasbro for the most part. But man, so I'm super excited to get this figure. And this is a huge box. It's got a lot of stuff in it. We'll get into that. But look at the cover art. Nice cover art. I think this is from off of one of the original posters. If I remember correctly, it's been so long since I've looked at some of this stuff. But there's Indy, and it kind of wraps down on the box below. That picture there. So kind of cool. It has the Mezco Toys logo there. It's for ages 18 and up. And there's a choking hazard, not for children under 3 years. And yeah, cool look here. On the side, we get some more cool art of Harrison Ford. And then on the top, I feel like this is from Last Crusade, that shot, but it must not be. I don't know. It's, man, like I said, it's been so long since I've seen some of these pictures. Cool picture of the whip, and then the of course the Indiana Jones logo. And on this side we get that same picture again. And on the back, like most Mezco, it shows you everything that it comes with. And this set is like a deluxe set. It comes with quite a bit. It comes with a coiled whip. It comes with a couple different versions of whips, and I don't know if the whips are bendy. I don't believe they are. We'll see when we open this thing up. And then he comes with a satchel bag. And then a lot of this is based off that opening scene in Raiders where he's in that temple. I think he's in Peru, I believe. And he's going after that golden idol to put it in a museum. And so it comes with the golden idol statue, and it's a polystone base. I didn't realize it was polystone, so that's kind of cool. And then the sack of sand that he uses to kind of judge the weight to offset when he takes the idol. And then a torch, which I don't see any flame effect, so we'll see if it comes with that. And then 4 different Harrison Ford head sculpts. I'm hoping the head is interchangeable and not just like secured on this face alone. I'd love to have the hat on all of these. We'll see. And then a bunch of hands, the base, a flight rod, and then he comes with this effect piece to go on his back with the tarantulas. When he walks in to this temple, he has the tarantulas on his back. And then these poison darts, which I believe plug into the torch. When he sets it down into that pressure plate and the darts come out. And then his revolver, and then a bunch of promo pics, blogger shots, which look really good. So the likeness looks pretty good in the pictures. We'll see the Harrison Ford likeness when we open this thing up. So let's get this thing unpackaged and take a look at everything that it comes with. Okay, and every 1/12 collective Mezco figure comes with this. It's product care guidelines. It talks about how they're not toys and they're made for ages 18 and up. And it talks about how to care for your product so you don't ruin it too quickly. And then there's a bit of directions. As we can see here, I was wondering about the hat. It looks like the hair cap comes off, almost like the Dick Tracy. I think Dick Tracy was like that. And then you can put the hat on with the hair off. So that's cool. The hat will go on all 4 head sculpts. Perfect. And I think doing it this way makes it look almost like it's sculpted. So it looks better than if you were trying to force it over the hair. So this is a good way of doing it, I believe. And then, yes, there's the torch, and it shows the darts can stick into the torch. And then it shows you how to attach this, the tarantulas on his back. And hopefully this is set up to actually hold on good. I know with Human Torch, that flame effect around his neck and shoulders, it wasn't designed good, and it wants to fall off the back. So hopefully this attaches, but not too tightly. We have that leather coat, the faux leather jacket. So we don't want it to be too tight or sharp to damage that jacket. So we'll see. But again, here's how it looks. I've taken off the top plastic layer and this plastic cover, but here's Harrison. If I zoom in a little bit, you're seeing this the first time as I am. The head sculpt looks pretty good. The likeness looks pretty good. We'll see out of package. But there's the darts in this box here. There's the pistol, the idol, the sand, and then underneath this foam is the polystone. Oh, it's actually, how does this thing work? Oh boy. Okay. So they have a nice foam cover to protect this polystone base. Do they need to make this polystone? Probably not. But man, it sure is. I can feel it's cold still. It's really cold here today, and been sitting here for a few hours, but it's still cold. So we'll look at that. Looks like we'll look at that in more detail. And then here's his whips. The torch, which I don't see a flame effect, which is unfortunate. And then the satchel bag is like a type of leather or a type of fabric. And then there, this is heavy. This polystone base is heavy. I'm trying to show you guys the bottom. And then there's the bottom with a cool Indiana Jones base. You know, very classic, very original. And then the hands are in the bottom, and the flight rod, and then the bag to put the accessories if you don't want to keep this packaging. But this packaging is really nice. The outer cardboard I was displaying when we first started the video is actually really thick cardboard, which is nice. So anyway, let's get this thing all unpackaged and take a look at everything in closer detail. All right, and here's Indiana Jones and everything he comes with. Quite a bit in this set for the price. We'll talk about that a bit later, but a couple cool things and a couple head scratchers that I seem to always have with Mezco. As much as I love them, there's some head scratching things that they do with some of the releases. We'll get to it though, but first off, here's the base. And I think they nailed the colors. This beige, tannish beige, desert brown look is perfect, along with the orange and the yellow tones in Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Very cool. And then, of course, your flight stand, which I don't see myself using with Indy, although you could get them jumping in a pose, maybe with a whip or something. A note about the whips. They are not bendable, which I think is a miss. It's cool that they are sculpted in a way, but why isn't this wire? Why isn't this wired and let me do what I want with it instead of having it a certain way, which is going to take up a lot of room in a cabinet or display shelf if you have it. The other one's not much different. I mean, they're different, but I don't see what the big deal is. It's just one of these should have been wired, I think. At least one of them should have been wired, and they're not. So kind of a miss there in my point. And then here's one that's coiled up, which I think can probably go on his belt somewhere. We'll get to the belt in a minute as well, but yeah, I mean, it's painted okay. It's all right. And then here is the satchel bag, which is fabric, and it does open. It's wired. So if you want to put like the idol in there or something, like he's gone on a treasure hunt, it does close down nice. And this is like some faux leather straps here, which probably, you know, this will probably break over time. This stuff is usually what goes first in these figures, but we'll see. But for right now, it looks pretty good. We'll get a picture of him with that on. And then here's the tarantula thing. I haven't put this on him yet. Let me zoom in a little bit to look at this in better detail. You can see the tarantulas on there. Painting's okay. It's not perfect on the tarantulas. You can tell they're tarantulas, but it's not anything special. But this could be cool for like a shot or two, right? Maybe from the backside, him looking back, using his whip to clean them off. Here is the torch, which does not have a flame effect. As you can see, I think by the time he gets to the idol room, it's burnt out anyway, I think. So this is really accurate to the film, I believe. And I think there's only one spot for a dart to go in. Let me see if I can do this on camera. Yeah, I think it's supposed to go in right here. It's hard to tell. There's supposed to be slots, yeah. So there's one right there. I don't know if there's slots for any more. I don't see any slots, honestly. But I guess when he put it down in the pressure plate, just one dart came. I think Boy, as many times as I've watched this movie, you'd think I would know that. I think it was just one dart. When he runs later to leave, a bunch come flying out. But I mean, it's kind of cool. Again, you get a shot of him with this pointing, pushing down the pressure plate. And then here is the golden idol, which I was hoping was magnetized along with the top of the base, but it's not. It's just plastic, and it doesn't have much space, so it's easy to topple over. But the detail on this looks pretty good if I zoom in even closer. It looks just like it did in the movie. Yeah. So that's that from that temple, and then here's the bag of sand, which is just a plastic molded piece. There's no sand in it or anything. It's just there's the top of it, and then his revolver, which doesn't. There's no break on the revolver, but it does. The barrel does spin. It's kind of hard to tell, but the barrel does rotate a little bit. So that's kind of cool. But there's the revolver that he carries, his trusty revolver, right? And then here's his hat, which it's odd that these heads don't come with hair. Only one head has hair. And I haven't messed with him yet, but this fedora looks legit. It looks like it did in the film. It's worn, it's used. So let's go ahead and look at the figure real quick. We'll get to the stand in a minute, the polystone stand. But here's Indy, here's Harrison. And I think, for a 1/12 scale figure, I think the head sculpt looks good. Maybe not great, but good. And it almost looks like it's a little big for his body, maybe. Maybe it's just me, but it looks like the head's a tad bit big. It's like his shoulders are really, he has like no shoulders. This is a very narrow figure. And I don't know that's necessarily how Harrison Ford looks in real life, but I mean it's fine. I'm nitpicking a bit here, but oh, there's some weather worn on this jacket, and there's some buckles. They actually have metal buckles there, really cool. Jacket looks nice. It's faux leather, so that'll probably deteriorate over time. We'll see. 5-10 years might be a time to junk it. We'll see though. And is there wire in the jacket? I don't think so. And it doesn't zip up. So no wire, and it doesn't zip up. But I mean, that's fine. Let's see how this hair comes off. You can see the hairline right here. So if we pull up on this hair, I think it's supposed to come off, isn't it? I haven't done this yet. I'm doing it live on camera for the first time. Yeah, it does come up, but boy, is that tough to get out. There we go. Boy, so you can see how it pegs in. That was pegged in tight. Let's put the hat on now and see what it looks like with the hat. Got to cover up that hairline, which it's not doing. Interesting. I mean, this is the front of the hat. Oh, it's supposed to peg in. This peg is tight, man. I'm not going to lie. All right, let me do this off camera because this is just not going on good. Okay, it took some force to get that hat on, I'm not going to lie. And it may be, it's not really cold anymore, but it took some good pressure to push that hat on. But once it seats in place, it looks good. You can't see any, exposed hairline missing or anything like that. It looks really good. It does sit low on his forehead, which I think is accurate to the films. Yeah, it looks really good. I think this is probably the best looking Harrison Ford head sculpt. Maybe the one where he's smirking might be another good one. But there's Indy with his hat on. I feel like the jacket's a little glossy, not glossy, but it's the faux makes it really look kind of like it's not worn enough. I think it needs to be worn a bit more. But it's still, I do like it. Now, I will talk about this real quick. We haven't got to all the figure yet, but this belt, it's designed to have the gun pouch holster in front, but as you can see, mine doesn't lay flat. It's like the material's too thick, and it springs up. And this does nothing. This buckle here, it's not magnetic, I don't believe. It doesn't do nothing to really hold it down. So I may have to get a weight on this to hold this down, because it looks silly with it flopping open. And if we try and put the gun in there, let's see what happens when we put the gun in. Oh yeah, this might be done off camera. This is tough. Let me do this gun off camera. So this is as far as I can get the gun in the holster. Unless I'm doing something wrong, I'm afraid to force it too much, but it's not even going to close down when the gun's in there. So a little disappointing that isn't going out of the way, unless I'm not doing something right. But I mean, I've been pushing on this thing, and it feels like the tip of the barrel is at the very bottom right now. So that's how it looks. I don't know in the film, was his gun sticking out like this? I can't say I ever noticed. I know he pulls it out right away in the beginning. But, you know, he uses his gun so infrequently in the movie. It's not something I've really focused on. I almost wish this pouch wasn't even here, because it's just, I don't like how it's sticking out like this. I'm gonna have to put some weight on it and bend it or something, because it's just really obnoxious sticking out like that. And I don't think I can move this belt. It's like this belt is designed to be at an angle like that. Here's where his whip goes. Yeah, his whip goes in here. So I think his whip just goes like this. Something like this. Boy, that looks weird. What is going on here, man? I guess that's how it's supposed to look. I wish it sat on his body better. I don't know, man. I hate how it's sculpted plastic. I wish this end tassel would move so it's not sticking up, because it's in the way. Because I'm almost positive this is how it's supposed to go. But with this being in the way, I guess I can move it up like that. That's better. So it's got to sit like that. It's got to sit like that in order for it to really look right in his hip, in my opinion. But, you know, that's fine. It's not going to fall out, I don't think. It looks good. Let's go over articulation, then we'll look at the other head sculpts here in a minute. So the head and neck both have ball joints, which is great. So he can look down really good. He can look up really good and, you know, rock his head side to side, no problem. The arms are on ball hinge, I believe, ball sockets. And there is bicep swivel, but with the jacket, it's hard to do much with that. I think they're double jointed elbows. And that's what you get with the elbow. And then ball hinge wrist pegs, which is normal from Mezco. And then he has some pretty good torso. He can arch back pretty good. Upper torso and lower torso. He has a ball joint. So it doesn't look like it's much here with the jacket, but he is bending good amount. And he can twist all sorts of ways, and he can bend. So good amount there. The hips don't go up to 90. Something's stopping them. It's not the pants. There's something in the design of the hip. And the leg socket is stopping it from going full 90, but it's close. And then double jointed knees, which is standard fare for Mezco. And then the boots. Boots are a little different. As you can see, there's no cut on the boot. They go all the way up, and there's actually socks. As you can see here, some socks. So the boot rotates, and it does go forward a little bit, but it's hard to tell. And goes down just a little bit. So not a whole lot. And there's no ankle rocker, which, man, drives me crazy with Mezco. They do some ankle rocker good on some figures and then none on others. And this is that case with Indy. So not a lot. And just, you can't, it's going to be hard to get dynamic poses because his ankles won't rock. But the boots do look nice. Boots look nice. No really tread on the boots. It looks like leather boots though, which is kind of cool. So that's articulation for Indy. Pretty standard fare for a Mezco figure. Let's change out this head now. And we'll do the hair and then we'll do the hat to see what they look like. That head does look big, doesn't it? Head definitely looks big. All right, here's the smirking Harrison Ford head, which looks good. Again, I feel like it looks a little big. But I'll say this with his body. Maybe they went with a smaller body because typically with leather jackets, it's real tight for any type of articulation. So they might have gone with a smaller body, maybe a new body, I'm not even sure, to make sure this jacket had more mobility for moving around. But in that case, to me, the head looks a tad bit big for the body, just a little bit. And you can see that hairline, which isn't pretty, but it's not terrible. But yeah, so this head sculpt with him smirking kind of a typical Harrison Ford look. It looks pretty good. That's a good head sculpt, I think. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good head sculpt. Let's try and put him on with a hat now. Okay, and there's Indy, this smirking face with the hat. Looks good. I will say this: after exchanging these hair pieces and the hat, I wish they would have given a couple more hair pieces. I have a feeling it's hard to get these off. That if you're not careful, you might chip some of the paint that's on this hair piece as you try and take it off the heads. So keep that in mind. It's a tight fit. Even the hat's a really tight fit, but looks good. Let's check out the next one. Okay, and here's the angry looking head sculpt, and it looks like he's into a fight, maybe punching a Nazi in the face. Pretty cool look there. Again, I think the head looks a little big. It almost makes it look cartoonish, unfortunately. Let me know what you guys think. Does the head look too big for the body? It might just be me. I don't know. I know Mezco's had a little trouble in the past with scaling heads to bodies. I think of the Catwoman. That was kind of a little too big of a head as well. I want to say it doesn't bother me, but I keep bringing it up because it's what my eyes are seeing. I mean, it looks cool. That head sculpt looks good, but I don't know. Let's put the hat on this one. Okay, so here's Indy fighting with the hat on. Hat looks really good. Still having a hard time with this stupid gun pouch. Wanting to get in the way. The gun pouch is massive. It's huge. It looks bigger in real life than it does on camera. But yeah, the head sculpt looks good with the hat. Let's do the last head sculpt. Okay, and here's the last head sculpt. I'm not quite sure what they were going for with this one, or what scene in the movie this is supposed to be. Maybe when he gets hit with a mirror by Marion on the boat. I don't know, but it is a weird looking head sculpt. I'm not gonna lie. It's like he's supposed to be surprised or hurt, or I don't even know what this is supposed to be. But one thing I didn't mention, on all these head sculpts, you got the 5 o'clock shadow, a little bit of a small beard going on, mustache, which looks pretty good, I think. I think that's painted on. Oh, it looks like it's not just painted on, it's also detailed that way too. And then a wash is applied to it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's put the hat on this goofy looking face now. Okay, I just realized in this pose what this face is from. This is in the beginning of the movie again, when he grabs the idol and he smiles and thinks everything's okay, and that boulder starts to come. He looks up and this is the face he gives. And I remember that just when I put the figure in the frame like this. He's looking up at the boulder right now. And he's like, oh crap. He starts running, right? So that's what that face is from. So making him look up like this is really cool. Man, it'd be cool if they would have given the boulder or some type of play set. Could you imagine a play set with this? With the boulder going down, almost like that board game Mousetrap. Remember that? That would have been awesome. But yeah, very cool. Let's look at this this Incan Mayan or whatever it is base. This is polystone, and it's solid except for this carve out right here. And it's hefty. I don't know how much it weighs. I'd say probably a pound or close to it. I can always get my scale out and check, but you can see they've got some moss on here. They've got it dry brushed nicely. There's these runes, whatever they are, runes, I'm not sure. Mayan symbols, who knows what it is. Just some type of design, right? I don't know if they ever do say if it's Mayan or Incan. I'm not sure. I believe he's in Peru, though. So I'm not the best at history when it comes to those tribes in those different parts of South America, but it does look good. And we'll get a shot with him, you know, with the bag and the idol on there. In fact, let's go ahead and get the idol on right now. I got my little base here. If I set this down, and I put this idol on here. Again, it's not magnetized, so it does sit, but it's very precarious. It could easily fall if you bump it or something. So if you're gonna have this maybe in your cabinet, see, I'm just moving my camera and it fell right off. You may want to do some like, you know, sticky putty or putty tack on the bottom of that to make sure it stays there. Because I'm telling you, should have been magnetized. Should have been magnetized, and it's not. But regardless, it does look good with lights on it. Yeah, it looks really good. Wow. So this is kind of a cool piece that it comes with this. You know, this is polystone. Should have been polystone? Probably not. It could have been plastic. Now the price for this is 130. So considering this is kind of a deluxe set, I don't think that's really that bad of a deal, honestly, because you get a polystone piece. You think of Darkseid when he came out, he was almost all polystone. He was like 180. And you get this set here with a figure, a bunch of accessories, and this polystone base for 130. So I think this actually is not a bad deal on Mezco's end, considering all things. I will say, you know, it's waitlisted on Mezco's site, and it was available on Big Bad Toy Store, but it's now sold out. So if you want to get this guy, I haven't checked like Entertainment Earth. I'm sure other places have it, maybe. But your best bet might be secondary market, which you're going to pay a lot more, or get yourself on the wait list on Mezco's site if you want this. With all the nitpicking I've done, as with a lot of Mezco releases, I still am glad I have the figure. I'm glad I have it, and I love the options they give you for all these different heads, and you know the playability options on this figure is great. Let's try putting this on. Speaking of playability, let's put this on his back and see how it sits. That actually sits really good. That sits really good, so you can kind of get him looking back like, oh crap, I've got spiders on my back. Look at that. Although he didn't react that way, right? The other guy did. Doc Ock, he reacted that way. And he just quickly, you know, brushed him off with the bottom part, the handle of his whip. But yeah, I think this will stay on okay. It's just a friction fit. There's no magnets or anything. But looks pretty good. Let's get this bag over his shoulder as well. All right, and here's the scene recreated from the beginning of the movie where Indy has replaced the idol on the stand with a bag of sand, and he's getting his satchel out, ready to put the idol in the satchel, and he's kind of got that smirk going on, like, I fooled you guys, I got it. And then, of course, we know what happens. The weight wasn't correct, and all heck breaks loose as he tries to escape those ruins, right? But man, this is really cool. You get some really cool shots with this guy, despite, you know, some of the minor issues I have with this figure, like the gun holster being too big, the head maybe being a little too big, things like that. Boy, you can really get some cool poses with this figure. And I've already seen some cool shots on Instagram from people posting him already. Let's do a couple more shots here. Okay, and here's Indy with the torch and his pistol drawn, like he's going into some type of crypt or tomb, ready for danger, prepared for battle if need be. So again, yeah, you get some cool poses. And again, there's no flame effect for that torch, unfortunately. You could always maybe find a different flame effect piece from another figure, or maybe even superimpose it. Or, you know, these days people are using Adobe to do a bunch of stuff like that. So you could always do it that way digitally. But yeah, it looks really good. Let's try one with one of his whips as a pose. Okay, and here's just a quick shot of him with his whip. Again, the whip is not bendable. It's a plastic that's been sculpted this way, so that's what you're gonna get. There's two of them. We'll do the other one here in a second, but yeah, that's what it looks like with the whip. So pretty cool. And I should probably take this off, shouldn't I? Because that doesn't make any sense. All right, there he is with the whip. Yeah, very cool. That whip goes up really high, as you can see. I think it's massive. Okay, and here's Indy with the whip forward. As you can see here, that thing goes way out. It's super huge. Let me kind of get my camera down to show his face a little bit. But yeah, that's Indy with the whip, the messenger bag. I don't have the gun in the holster because it just won't fit right. It's kind of goofy. But overall, pretty cool. Let's go ahead and do a couple size comparisons real quick. Okay, and here's Indy next to a couple other Mezco figures. On the left, we have the recent Popeye release, and on the right, we have Mezco's Dr. Doom. Indy with the hat on comes in at 6.5 inches. Without the hat, he's a little shorter than that. But I think he scales nicely. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, and here's Indy next to Muff Toys James Bond, which is a Daniel Craig version, and on the right, Hasbro Marvel Legends Kang. So, I mean, he's going to fit in with any type of, 6 scale, 6-inch figures like Marvel Legends. He'll go good. I don't have any of the Indiana Jones Hasbro figures. I wonder how he looks with those. I'd be curious to see that. I'm sure there's a review out there somewhere that shows that, but I don't have any of those figures, so I can't review that. But still, these look really cool. Okay, let's wrap this stuff up. Okay, and one final thing I had to show off, and this does not come with this set, but it looks like Indy has chosen wisely. He has the Holy Grail in his hand, which is actually just some goblets I got for Doom off of eBay some years ago. But boy, that works perfect for the Holy Grail for Indy. So, will we get Last Crusade figures from Mezco? Who knows? Indy's garb doesn't change much throughout the movies. So that's why this looks good with this figure. And I think that's really cool. But end of the day, is this figure worth it? Well, I said it was 130 bucks. So in my mind, for what Mezco figures normally cost that don't have this much, you're paying about $30 to $40 extra. You're getting this polystone base, which is where a lot of the cost is going to go. Polystone is not cheap. And people might complain and say, oh, it could have been plastic. And I agree. But I think knowing that it's polystone to me adds weight to this release. It shows a sense of care from Mezco that they have this license and they want to do it right. While they did miss in a few things, like I think the head's a bit big, in my opinion, just a bit, because there's no shoulders really. And that gun holster drives me nuts. But other than that, I think this is a good release overall. And I'm glad I have it. I hope that if you got it, you're satisfied. Let me know what you guys think. Do you have this set? Were you able to get it? It's going to be tough to get it now, I think. But regardless, I'm glad I have it finally, and I'm looking forward. I do have Tote on pre-order with Big Bad Toy Store, so I'm looking forward to getting that. He comes with the Ark of the Covenant, so another big release there. So man, hopefully Mezco does a few more Indiana Jones figures. I can't imagine getting a license like that and then only doing 2 figures. And of course, I know with certain actors and actresses, if they haven't signed up for their likeness, you're never going to get that figure. So that could be part of it too. But I don't know. We'll see. I think if this thing sells well and it looks like it's sold out, maybe Mezco makes more indie figures. Fingers crossed. But until next time, give me a like, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever, comment. I love to hear people's thoughts on these figures I review. I love to talk about some of this stuff. I'm a nerd over collecting figures and everything. So let me know what you guys think. And until next time, this has been Mezco Toys 112th Collective, Indiana Jones, and Raiders of the Lost Ark Temple Edition. Thanks for watching.